Greetings, Cadet, and welcome to the Survivor Item and Add-on Guide. If you're new to DBD, or even if you've been playing DBD for a decent amount of time, there are so many items and there are so many add-ons in this game that it's definitely a bit overwhelming for players to understand what all you need to be looking for in your blood webs and what items do what and what items synergize with what perks. Don't worry, this is the guide you need to watch. This is the only guide you're going to need to watch to answer all your questions for items and add-ons. We're going to talk about all the items and the important add-ons. I'm not going to talk about all the add-ons. We might skim over them, but a lot of the add-ons are essentially useless. But I'm going to tell you the ones that are good, how you can use these items and add-ons accordingly in your games, and hopefully after this you'll have a much better idea of what you want to go for in your blood web and what items you want to actually try out in DBD. Maps might be important to some people, but they're not important to all people. Same with flashlights, but the two I would say are the best for all people regardless are going to be the medkits and the toolboxes. We'll talk more in detail coming soon. But anyways, guys, grab some popcorn. This is going to be a doozy of a video. And also, if you haven't checked out my other guides, guys, I've got 3 other guides here on the channel. There's the best blood point build for getting your blood points as quick as possible. There's the beginner survivor guide to teach you how to play the game essentially and what a good beginner build is for you to play the game. And there's also the blood web guide, which is not as much detail as the items as we're going to do now, but it kind of tells you what you should be getting as far as items and offerings in your blood webs. So guys, let's start off talking about these items. So as you can see, there's masquerade flashlights, masquerade medkits, masquerade toolboxes right now. It's because of the holiday event. Don't worry if these aren't still showing whenever you're playing your game here in the next few months, because they're only limited time, but this is the same as a green toolbox. This is the same as the yellow medkit, and then that one is the same as the yellow flashlight, which we just saw. But anyways, guys, let us start off with maps. Luckily, we're a search feature now, so we can click this, and now I can show you the only maps in the game. The Rainbow freaking map, guys. What this does is it gives you 20 seconds of use. Once you start your game, 3 objects will automatically be tracked. These could be generators, these could be totems. It's just going to be random things, but also whenever your character model moves within 8 meters of objectives like generators, the hatch in the end game, killer's belongings, if you're up against someone like a trapper who actually leaves their traps around the map, that's a notable example. And then you can see the exit gates as well if you go within 8 meters of them. So this helps orient honestly like newer players, or if you're on like a new map, you can try to find objectives easier, generators easier. So this might have some merit if you're a new player. Rainbow maps I will usually get in the blood web, but the main reason I get them is to look for totems if I need to cleanse totems, or if I need to use boons. So if I'm using perks like inner healing right here where you have to cleanse a totem to heal yourself, or if I'm using any of the boons, guys, like boon, circle of healing, shadow step, exponential. If you're trying to boon and find totems really quickly, then the map is what you want to bring. If you're using boon perks and you just need to find a totem to boon and you're not sure where the totems are at, the items, add-ons you'd want to use. So honestly, I'm going to tell you this right now. When you're going through your blood webs, none of these add-ons make me turn my eye. So all these pictures, take a mental freeze frame, none of them are really important. Like there's none of them I go out of my way to get. I might go out of my way to get the actual ultra rare map, but if you're just leveling up your blood web normally, you're probably going to get enough of each of these that it's not going to really be that big a deal. And as you can see, I've got like 16, 37, 30, and I only have what, 3 rainbow maps. So there's no way I'm using all these add-ons. I'll go over what they do briefly. This one, if you hook it up to your map, you can see the aura of other survivors. Okay, I mean, not other survivors, sorry. Every survivor can see what you're seeing when you use your map. So this could help teammates see where the gens are at, the totems are at. There could be some value to get in these kinds of situations, but usually this ends up just being useless. Like, usually your team will just like, oh, look, I can see everything, but it's very rare that it's like, oh, I can see all the totems, let me go cleanse it. Like, usually this is gonna be pretty useless. The black silk lets you track the hatch in the end game. Could, in a niche scenario, maybe come in clutch, but usually going to be worthless. The odd stamp, probably one of the better add-ons for the map. Like if I run the map, it's going to be the odd stamp and the jelly, or the odd stamp and the unusual stamp. So this increases the tracking range of your map by 12 meters. So remember we said you have to be within 8 meters of a totem or objective for it to show on the map. This makes it to where it's 20 meters. So then you can find them a lot easier. And then if you add on the unusual stamp, then it's 28 meters. Or you can use the retardant jelly to slow down the burning of your map by 20%. So that way you don't go through it as quickly. So if I was using a map, I would for sure use the odd stamp, and then you can use the jelly or the unusual stamp. Don't waste your time with the glass bead. It's cute, it's fun. You can make this huge beam on the map and just mark a point of interest, but usually people don't even realize what they're looking at. I think the glass bead's actually kind of cool, but it's basically useless. Red twine. You can also track the killer's belongings, so i.e. trapper's traps, and then a few niche scenarios like that. Essentially worthless. Don't bother using it. The unusual stamp, that one could be okay. Yellow wire, track the exit gates in the end game. Usually you see where they spawn when the last gen pops, so this is basically pointless. And then the map addendum, add 5 seconds of charge to the map. Okay, that's something, but usually you're better off with the 20% reduction from the jelly instead. So guys, all of these, don't even worry about in your blood web, but if you do want to use the maps, use the rainbow map and use the odd stamp with the jelly. And then as we were talked about earlier, there's 2 maps. The green map is also an option. This one is pretty much useless. You can track 1 generator with it, and this one only tracks generators. If you run Detective's Hunch with the green map, then everything else will get tracked. Where is it? Detective's Hunch. Oh my god, I'm not spelling it right. Detective's... Oh, good lord. Oh, it's because I'm looking for item stuff. So Detective's Hunch, this one, if you're holding a map, everything gets tracked on the map. So Detective's Hunch reveals totems generators within 64 meters of you after you finish a gen. This would probably be one of the best perks to use with any map, period, because then they will be tracked on your map permanently. This is the only perk that really makes the green map decent. But besides that, I wouldn't waste your time with green maps, guys. So rainbow maps, sure, I would pick them up. 7 out of 10. These, they're like a 2 out of 10. Really not worth it, but if you want to do it with Detective's Hunch, you can. Moving on from the maps to the keys. So we have 3 keys here. So I'm going to tell you this. Broken key, useless. Dull key, useless. Ultra rare key has some scenarios where it can be good. Now, what do all these keys do? So this one gives you 30 seconds of charge, 5 seconds of charge, and 10 seconds of charge. In the end game, this one you can't actually open the hatch with. This is just beyond useless. Don't even get broken keys, guys. Dull keys, skeleton keys. So in these weird scenarios where you're the last survivor alive, it's you and the killer, a race to get the hatch. The killer finds the hatch first, closes the hatch, and then the killer goes to the door. If you have a key, you can go up to that hatch that got closed and you can actually open the hatch. Now, that's only happened to me one time in like almost 1,000 hours of gameplay. And that was a glorious moment, and I wish I recorded it because it was really cool, but that's not actually why you want to use the keys. The reason to use the keys, not this one, dull keys, broken keys, don't even get, but the skeleton key, the way to use this, as far as add-ons go. Again, we've got a bunch of add-ons here. We'll go over them briefly, and I'll tell you which ones are the ideal ones to use for your key. Blood Amber. This will let you track the killer's aura within 32 meters. Whenever you're channeling your key. It increases the key energy usage by 100%. That's already going to be one of the add-ons we would use. You already know. That's actually a decent ability. The Milky Glass. Do not lose the key when you unlock the hatch. Instead, you lose this add-on. Again, the odds of you even opening a hatch with the key is very slim to nothing. Don't even bother ever getting this in your blood web unless you absolutely have to. So useless. The Wedding Ring. Reveal the Obsession's aura at all times without needing to channel your key's energy. And it decreases your chances of being the killer's obsession. So this actually could be kind of cool. You can always see where the obsession is, whoever the obsession is on your team. Maybe you're using one of those obsession perks like Blood Pact from Cheryl Mason. But for the most part, there's better aura reading perks or ways to read auras out there, which I'm going to get into here shortly. The Wedding Ring, the Weaved Ring. You don't lose the key when you die, you lose the add-on instead. Okay, if you want to save your key, go for it, but really not worth even picking up. The Gold Token. This is the money one right here. Reveals the survivor auras within 48 meters of you. So now this key is actually looking a little fresh. We have a key that shows the aura of the killer and the aura of our survivors within 48 meters and 32 meters. before I tell you what perks to use with this key setup. Eroded token, sees survivor auras with only 24 meters instead of 48, so this is superior. Don't even worry about that one. Prayer beads, you can get 15 seconds of charge to your key. I would say this is actually decent-ish, except I would much rather have these two add-ons together than ever have 15 more seconds, so don't worry about the prayer beads. This one, again, increase the range of the key order reading ability by 12 meters. Could be cool, but what we're going to do is going to be way better than using a scratch pearl. And then prayer robe, add 10 seconds of charge to the key. Like, don't even worry about this. So out of all of these, the only two notable, if you want to use keys, are the blood amber and the gold tokens. So now we have a key that will only give us 15 seconds of use because blood amber makes us use our energy 100% quicker. But because of the key, we can see the killer's aura within 32 meters and the survivor's aura within 48 meters. So this is essentially 15 seconds of map hacks, which is really good. But if we do something, let's say bring along the perk. Oh, I gotta keep clicking on these perks here. Open-handed. Open-handed increases aura reading ranges by 16 meters. So this perk alone will boost your ability to read auras by 16 meters. So suddenly this, instead of 32, becomes 38, 48 meters. So within 48 meters of where you are, which is a huge area, guys, that's like almost half the map, you can see the killer when you channel your key, as long as it's not a stealth killer. Also, the gold token. 48 meters is already a lot, but with 16 more, that's 58 plus 6, 60, can't do math right now, 64 meters you can see other survivors. That's basically the whole map, dude. So every time you channel your key, you can see where everybody's at. And there's a lot of cool things you can do. Like you can even bring like Left Behind, make this a full-on just end game build. So since you're seeing the killer's aura, you always know where the killer's at. You should usually be the last survivor alive. And in the end game, you could actually use Left Behind. One of the only times I would ever say use Left Behind. So you can track the hatch with Left Behind. Granted, it's not even 32 meters because you have open-handed. It's like 40 whatever meters. And then if the killer closes the hatch, you can open it because you do have a key. The other perk I'd use in this build, built to last. Boom. Right here. It lets you go into lock for 12 seconds, get back 99% of your charges on your item. And then for the last perk, just an exhaustion perk. So this build, because of these perks, this key setup becomes really freaking good. It is very much underused. Nobody uses this setup in that build, but it's a really, really good build, especially for new survivors to know what's going on. Like, guys, if you're gonna use keys, that's what you want to go for. All the keys are useless, but the Ultra one with those two add-ons is actually fire. So we're going to talk about the toolboxes and medkits last. We'll talk about the flashlights next, okay? So the flashlights, guys, remember, this one's just a holiday flashlight. These are also holiday flashlights, but these three are available year-round. So if you're a beginner player, you probably want to use the medkits or toolboxes. Those are typically the best items. We discussed maps have some weird niches with boons if you're looking for totems or doing weird stuff. Keys, the aura reading key build is pretty sick. But the flashlights, what do they do? This one gives you 8 seconds of flashlight. You can blind the killer with the flashlight. You can get a flashlight save by when you blind the killer after they pick up a survivor. If you blind them, they will drop the survivor. It's a pretty epic thing to do, but also not the easiest to do when you're a new player. Essentially 8 seconds, but this one will decrease your battery consumption by 11% and increases your flashlight accuracy by 20%. So this one's a little better than the yellow one, and the purple one is the best one. 12 seconds of charge. The brightness is increased by 30%, the blindness duration by 15%, but this one debuffs your accuracy a little bit, but it's not that big a deal. So guys, actually all the flashlights I would say are worth picking up in your blood web, especially if you want to use a flashlight. The yellow one and the green one, they're pretty much good. They're about the same. Yeah, green's a little better than yellow. Purple's obviously the best. But let's talk about the items you'd want to use for your flashlight. So all three of these are completely okay picking up in your blood web. You don't have to break your back going out of your way for the yellow flashlights. You'll get a bunch of them typically, but the purple and green ones I would usually recommend picking up. Even if you're not at the point to where you want to use flashlights, yeah, just get them and save them for later. And then when you get to that point to where you want to use flashlights, you already have them. Now the add-ons. The flashlight actually has some decent add-ons. The odd bulb is pretty good. Increases the brightness of your flashlight by 50% and the blind duration by 25%. However, this will increase your battery consumption by 14%. So you'll have a flashlight that gets pretty much max blindness duration, but you go through your charges a little bit quicker. The high-end sapphire lens, really good, increases the range of the flashlight by 25%, the width of the beam, the brightness by 30%, and the blindness duration. So the high-end sapphire lens is pretty good, the odd bulb is pretty good. The halogen increases the brightness by 40%, blindness duration by 20%, also a really good add-on. So these are all good. I typically don't go out of my way to get any of these. The only thing on here I go out of my way to get is the long life battery, because this adds 6 seconds of charge to your flashlights, and 6 seconds of charge is huge. That turns this from what, 12 seconds to 18 seconds. That's a lot of flashlight blinds. I mean, you're gonna have a hard time using 18 seconds of flashlight in a game, and if you do, well, I mean, you probably just play a lot and you're sweaty. But this is probably my favorite one. The battery I would recommend getting. All of these are also good to get as well, but my combo I typically use is usually the battery and the halogen, because I always have a lot of these for some reason. But the sapphire lens is good too. You can even do the sapphire lens with the focus lens to get the max range on your flashlights, because this one also boosts it by 25%, also decreases the width, increases the brightness, increases the blindness. You're seeing a trend here, okay? So you can do like focus lens with high-end sapphire lens. You can do like long life battery with the halogen or the sapphire lens or the odd bulb. Those would probably be my go-to setups. Any mix I just discussed beforehand is fine. Now, if you don't have any of these add-ons, you can use these. And these are basically the same as all of these, but just on a much more micro scale. This one's 4 seconds of charge. This one decreases your battery consumption. This one actually increases your accuracy by 40%. I don't think this makes that big of a deal, but maybe, I don't know. I've never noticed a big difference using this, so I'm not going to really recommend it. This one, the trioptic, brightness, blindness, regular batteries, and then the wide lens, which also actually decreases the range of your flashlight. Yeah, don't ever use this. Trash. Power bulb. Again, doing everything the other items did, but just on a much more smaller scale. So essentially the ones up here would be the ones I'd recommend, but everything else, all this yellow and below, you don't even need to sweat it in your blood webs, guys. Like, the batteries are the takeaway point, and then if you want any of these, that's also cool. But that's pretty much it for the flashlights, guys. Let's talk about the toolboxes. So toolboxes. All right. So again, disregard the holiday ones. So we'll start with the Alex toolbox, probably the weirdest of the toolboxes. This one is 24 charges, only increases your repair speed by 10%. So it's not really practical for using to repair generators, because all the toolboxes will do way more than 10% for your repair speed. But why you'd want to use this one is if you're trying to sabotage hooks, because this one increases your sabotage speed by 50%, which means you can sabotage a little bit quicker. So let's get this here. We've got our add-ons here. So we've got the grip wrench, which will, hold on guys, hold on. Whoa. Okay guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I got confused with the wording a little bit, so I just wanted to double check. So yes, this increases your speed of your sabotage by 50%. So it should take a 4-second sabotage, which is what it normally would be with a regular toolbox, down to a 2.5-second sabotage. At least that's what the article I read said. Sorry, I really don't sabotage a lot. This is probably my least experienced item of using. But anyways, the only reason to use this one is if you want to sabotage hooks. Sabotaging a hook requires 6 charges from your toolbox. So you can sabotage a hook 6, 12, 18, 24. You get 24 sabotages, sorry, 4 sabotages with this toolbox. So essentially you'd want to customize this to sabotage hooks, which the only add-ons for that would usually be the grip wrench. This makes it to when you sabo a hook, it takes 15 extra seconds to respawn. The hacksaw increases your speed by sabotaging by another 20%. So I'd probably use a grip wrench and sabotage. Like I said, I don't really sabo that often, but if I did, my setup would be something like this. You could use cutting wire to increase the speed by 15%. Not as good as the hacksaw. The gloves also prevent the killer from being notified when you sabo a hook. You could do some weird, cheeky little plays like the killer's bringing a survivor to the hook, you sabo it, it doesn't make a noise notification, the killer still comes to the hook. I've never seen it done, but it's a thing that could happen. The spring clamp, which decreases, actually has nothing to do with sabotaging, sorry, we'll skip on. That's it, those are the sabotage add-ons, guys. So honestly, grip wrench and the hacksaw, I'm not going to talk too much about this because I don't really sabotage, and if you're a new player, it's probably one of the harder strategies to pull off in DBD. Let's talk about the rest of the toolboxes and the rest of the add-ons. As you can tell, you can already tell how bored I am talking about Sabo. So anyways, the toolboxes: Engineers, Commodious, Mechanics, regular yellow toolbox, and brown toolbox. The best one is the Commodious toolbox. 32 charges, increases your repair speed by 50%. The second best is the Engineer's toolbox. 16 charges, but you repair 100% quicker. But this one will actually make you sabotage hooks longer and slower than this one. So the Commodious is way better in almost every way than the Engineer's toolbox. And if you don't know, whenever you're using toolboxes, you get prompted for skill checks more often. And you honestly want skill checks more often because skill checks will let you get more progress on a gen. So you could do something like the Commodious toolbox. We'll go over the add-ons real quick. The best add-ons for the toolbox. Obviously, brand new part's really good. When you start a game, if you have a brand new part in your toolbox, go straight to a gen, you'll instantly do 15% of that gen over 5 seconds. But then you get 2 difficult skill checks, and if you get each of those, you get another 5% gen progress. So one brand new part will guarantee 15 to 25% of a generator within 5 seconds of repairing the generator, which is really good. That's a lot of generator repair time. But this add-on gets consumed after you use it, so it's a one-time use thing. Brand new parts pretty good. I usually don't actually bring brand new parts that often, but you could bring a brand new part, get a lot of quick charges, use a perk like flashbang. When you do 50% of a gen, you get a flashbang, so that would get you 25% of the way to your first flashbang. You could do blast mine. Also 50% of a gen to put a mine on the gen. You can do wiretap. This one's only 33%. So if you bring a brand new part, start working, you basically get these perks already almost unlocked really quickly in the game. So that's something I would do with it. But the more common thing I'd like to do with a toolbox like this is I would use the wire spools for 12 extra charges and the scraps for 8 extra charges. Instructions: eliminate skill checks when doing a toolbox. Like I said, you want the skill checks because that will give you opportunity to get more progress on your gens, which I'll explain here in a little bit. But if you don't already know, getting great skill checks increases the progress of a generator repair by a little bit. It's not a lot, but it gives you bonuses, especially if you're hitting great skill checks. You get a nice jump on your gens. This one increases your sabo speed by 20%. It's okay, but this one's way better. Socket swivels increase it by 30%. So my setup would either be the tools for 12 charges with the scraps for 8 more charges, or you can do the tools with the swivels if you want to be a little quicker. Those are both really solid options for your toolbox setups. Again, cutting wire, don't worry about that. The gloves, really don't need to worry about these guys. The spring clamp muffles the sound you make when you're repairing gens, but it's usually not even to make that big of a deal. So again, out of all of these, I said, even these Sabo ones, the only ones I think are worth getting are the wire spools, scraps, brand new part, and the socket swivels. Everything else, don't even waste your time on. But now we have this nice toolbox. We have a bunch of charges, 50% extra speed, plus 20 more charges. This will do a decent chunk of a generator. But if you bring this toolbox with a perk like Streetwise, again, I'm in the wrong search bar, bear with me, Streetwise, which reduces your item consumption rate by 25%. This toolbox is gonna last such a long time. You're gonna get like 60%, 70% of the gen done with just one toolbox. And then you can bring perks like Built to Last, we talked about it earlier. You can get your toolbox back. You'll be going through gens like nothing. You could even try out the new Scavenger perk. This one, whenever your toolbox is empty, if you get 5 great skill checks, you can get your toolbox charges refunded to you. But if you're using Scavenger, you'd want to use something like Hyper Focus. Remember, we're talking about great skill checks. This one rewards you. The more great skill checks you get, the more gen progress you get. And if you keep getting these back to back to back, you will just be hammering out the gen. Not only are you doing the gens quicker, and not only are you getting more skill checks because you're using the toolbox, you're also getting prompted for hyper focus more often. You can even use stakeout to guarantee that you're getting your great skill checks. I'm not talking about these perks too in depth. If you want more details about it, just research it on your own, or comment down below if you want me to talk more about this. But guys, there's a lot of really sick strategies you can do with this. And the best part about it is that you can eat through gens so quickly, but you also have the option to sabotage hooks. There are those times where the killer is taking your teammate to the hook and you have this huge ass toolbox, so why not go sabotage the hook? Again, you could do something similar with the engineer's toolbox, the wire spool, the scraps, the perks we talked about. The only difference is you won't be able to sabo as quick, and also you go through your toolbox really quickly with this setup. So usually you won't have charges left over to sabo because usually it's just a quick dump into gen. But this is a valid option too, guys. So engineer's toolbox. So out of all of these, the one you need is Commodious. Always get the Commodious. Engineers, if you want it, sure. If you want to be different. Alex's, if you want to sabotage. Mechanics toolbox. Yellow toolbox, brown toolbox. Don't even worry about them. Don't even sweat it. They're not worth looking at. Again, the items, wire spools, swivels, brand new parts. And honestly, that's pretty much it. And the scraps is fine, but you'll get a lot of scraps, so don't even worry about it. And the best for last, guys, are the medkits. Again, just, oh God. All right. Apparently, the medkits are all different. They're not all under medkits. Hold on. Cancel my search, please. No. No. Cancel. Okay. So here, medkits are actually really easy, guys. They made a change recently on the patch. And these camping aid kits are basically just as good as the other medkits. So there's 4 different medkits. There's the brown ones. There's the yellow ones. There's the green ones. And there's the ranger medkit. Now what these do is they have 24 charges. You can heal yourself. But if you heal yourself, you lose 33% healing efficiency. And your speed is reduced. So essentially 24 charges is what it will take to do 1 full self-heal on yourself. But if you heal someone else with the medkit, it only takes 16 charges. So if you heal someone else, you'll have 8 extra charges left over. Keep that number in mind. If you heal yourself only, you're going to use the whole medkit because of the penalty medkits have. Now, I just showed you 4 medkits. There's the purple, the green, the yellow, and the brown one. And the good news with medkits is that the brown ones are just as good as the rarest ones, guys. Like, just as good. And let me tell you why. Because the only difference is the camping aid kit increases the speed you heal other people by 35%. But as we go up, that number only increases by 5%? Question mark? Developers? Hello? Developers? What are you doing? Honestly, this is a little bit of a rant, but I think the patch they did recently to medkits is just stupid because the medkits used to actually be different based on rarity. But now they're all basically the same, and the rarer ones are not worth getting. So this one, you heal people 40% quicker. This doesn't apply to you, just other people. And then the green ones, you heal them 45% quicker. And then the purple ones, you heal other people 50% quicker. So this one's technically the best, but I think it doesn't really warrant it's not worth it. Like for a very rare item, and the only difference is a 15% increased healing speed on other people. No. The camping aid kits are the only ones you need to use. If you want to get the other ones and spend more blood points and get them, sure you can, but I'm going to tell you they're basically useless. Like the 15% is not even really noticeable, guys. So just use the camping aid kits. Honestly, the camping aid kit used to be the most useless med kit, but now it's just as good as the other ones. So might as well use your camping aid kits because they're literally just as good as the other med kits. Rant done. What can we do with the med kits? There's a lot of add-ons, guys, and med kits have some good add-ons and some useless add-ons. Syringes, we'll start here. So when you use your medkit and you're healing yourself or someone else, you can use your ability button to consume the entire medkit right away to use the syringe. And what this will do is this will cause the survivor to heal a full health state after 16 seconds. Now, the cool thing about this is that any perks or item add-ons that affect healing speeds also apply to this perk. So if you have something that boosts your healing speed, this will take less than 16 seconds. But this consumes your medkit. But also there are times where you don't have time to sit and heal and you can just use a medkit real quick, pop the syringe and guarantee yourself a full easy heal. So for the medkits, if I was going to use a syringe, I would probably use the syringe with the bandages. Sorry, I'm thinking if I should talk about all the items first and then talk about setups. Actually, we'll talk about the items first, okay? Syringes, pretty good. I would recommend getting these in your blood web. I don't usually go out of my way to get them, but if they're there, I'll pick them up. Gel dressings are probably the best thing to get for your medkits. I'll explain why, but these will add 16 charges to your medkit, which is a really good thing, especially if you want to get multiple heals out of your medkit. So gel dressings are probably the best. Don't ever pass up a gel dressing. Guys, are you listening to me? Don't you ever pass up a gel dressing. Trust me. However, abdominal dressings, skip them every time, baby. They increase your healing speed by 15%. Like we said earlier, 15% isn't that big a deal. I wouldn't even worry about these abdominal dressings. They're basically useless. Scriptic agents, decent. Again, like the syringe, will consume your medkit when you use it, but the survivor you use it on, if it's yourself or someone else, will get endurance for 5 seconds. The endurance status effect pretty much lets you take a hit without going down. You'll go to deep wound instead to be able to continue the chase. So if you're like at the end of your rope and you loop a corner, but the killer's about to get you in the last ditch effort, you can use your medkit and burn the scriptic agents. That way you have the endurance status effect. So this is actually decent, and this has some potential for some really clutch plays, but for most new players, you probably wouldn't be able to use it right, so I wouldn't even recommend picking it up in your blood web. I personally don't go out of my way to get these. Like, they're good items, but I don't go out of my way to get them. Gauze rolls, again, I wouldn't waste my time getting them. There's like one niche scenario where it's actually useful, and the niche scenario I'm talking about is if you want to use your med kit to heal someone else twice, not yourself. If you heal yourself, the math's gonna get messed up. But because 16 charges is what it takes to heal someone else, and this gives you 24 charges. If we add 8 charges to the med kit, that's 32. That's enough to heal someone twice. Because this is 10 charges, we have enough to heal someone twice and have one little sliver of med kit left in the med kit to also use a syringe. That's the only reason to use the gauze roll. Other than that, I don't think it's worthy of being a rare medkit add-on because the bandages are basically just as good for most situations, and the self-adherent wrap. But that's the only reason you want to use a gauze roll. So if you want to, go for it. Sutures, useless, used to be decent. I wouldn't recommend it. Get more skill checks, get more healing progress for great skill checks. We don't care. Scissors, again, don't care. Healing speed. Again, needle and thread, skill checks, healing speed, don't care. This one's nice. 8 extra charges on your med kit and increases your healing speed by 5%. The sponge, bonus for doing great skill checks increased by 20%, don't care. Butterfly tape, don't care. Rubber gloves, we don't care, guys. Useless, useless. Out of all these I mentioned, bandages, great. The wraps, great. Gel dressings, syringes, everything else, don't worry about. If you want, you can get the scriptic agents. If you want to heal your people with your med kits and have a little bit left over for a syringe or the bottled time, you can use the gauze roll. But the best ways to run the med kits that I do, or I will do the syringe, I'll do the bandages, I'll do a perk like botany knowledge or desperate measures. So botany is my favorite to use with this setup because this increases your healing speed by 50%. So you'll heal yourself a lot quicker and you can heal other people quicker. This reduces your healing item efficiency by 20%, but if you use botany, you're healing your teammates 50% quicker all the time. And if you heal yourself or heal them with the med kit, you'll heal them really quickly or you heal yourself quickly. But because of the bandages, you'll have a little bit of charges left over that you have enough to still use your syringe to get another heal. So you get one decently fast heal and then another heal with the syringe. That's probably my favorite setup to use on med kits. But you can also do something like the med kit with the gel dressing, the bandages, or the wrap. Again, these both give you 8 extra charges. And this is why I think the gauze roll is useless, because if you use the gauze roll, this gets you 2 self heals and 2 extra charges for whatever reason why. Literally no point. This one just feels better because this is 24 charges. Remember, you need 24 for a self heal. So this gives you 2 self heals, or you can heal somebody else 3 times. And that's essentially how the numbers work out. So for medkits, if you want 2 heals, do the gel dressing with the wrap, or you can do some combinations with the syringe. Like we said, the syringe with the band-aid, or you could even, if you want to just do some funny stuff, you can use the syringe and this scriptic agent, but I wouldn't recommend it. This is probably the ideal setup. That one or that one. That's going to guarantee you 2 heals. Again, Don't worry about the other med kits. It's really not even worth it, guys. But this will get you at least 2 heals. And this is probably the best setup to bring if you're just a beginner starting out in Dead by Daylight, because at least you get 2 self heals. You can even do stuff like heal yourself with this med kit, 99 your health, and don't finish healing yourself. And as long as you're not affected by hemorrhage or sloppy butcher or anything like that, you can use perks like resilience or made for this that lets you do things quicker when you're injured. And then if the killer's about to come, you can just use your med kit to top yourself off. That would be a viable strategy. But yeah, man, there's some funny things you can do with med kits, but those 2 there that I discussed are probably the options I would recommend the most. And that should conclude it, guys. Those are the items. We did it. All the items and add-ons in Dead by Daylight, guys. I hope this helped. This was a longer video, but there's kind of a lot to talk about when it comes to the items and add-ons. But I hope after watching this, you have a much better idea of what you want to be getting in your blood web and what kind of strategies you can be doing with these items and which ones are useless and worth getting. Remember, all these are basically useless. Again, I'll do one last rundown. On the rainbow maps, they're good. Odd stamp, retardant jelly, everything else, don't worry about. The keys, the combo, blood amber, gold token, everything else, don't worry about. Alex's toolbox, if you want to use this one, try it out with grip wrench and hacksaw for some sabo plays. Everything else, don't worry about. With that set up for the toolboxes, don't worry about the engineer's toolbox. Commodious is the way to go. Wire spool with the socket swivels or the scraps for extra charges. Don't worry about anything else. You could also use the brand new part if you want a quick dump and want to use your perks. Fantastic. The flashlights, best setup. Bring that battery, bring that halogen. You could even bring this and kind of make it into a little bit of a sniper rifle. Also good. And if you want max brightness, bring the bulb and bring some charges. All of these are fine. Remember, the ones here on the top row are basically the good ones, and everything else don't worry about. And then with the medkits, guys, again, purple medkits don't matter. Just use the brown ones. That's fine. They're just as good as the other ones. And then for the items, syringes, yes. Jello dressings, yes. Wraps, yes. Bandages, yes. Everything else, don't worry about. And that's it, guys. That's all the complex DBD items in a nutshell explained. Smash the like button if you found some damn value in this video, cadet. And subscribe to the channel if you made it to the end, because you made it to the end of this video. And support your boy, guys. Comment down below. Let me know if that was helpful. DBD is kind of an intimidating game. There's a lot of crap to talk about, but I think we did a really good job talking about items and perks and stuff in this video. So I'm going to conclude the episode here, guys. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I will see you guys in the fog. Bye.